Okay, this is lesson 4.4, the video lesson for multiplying mixed numbers. And you should be on page 282 in your book. So I'm going to go through some examples and some problems and show you how to do this. So the first thing in example 1, it says find 1/3 times 1 3/4 and to write it in simplest form. So the main thing you need to make sure of when you're multiplying mixed numbers is you want to make sure both numbers are fractions before you start. So let me show you what I mean. For this, 1/3 is already a fraction. Now this is a mixed number, so we're going to change it to an improper fraction. Now to do that, watch what I do. First off, the denominator always stays the same, so it's going to be fourths no matter what. Now in order to get the numerator, let me clear away my ink so you can see it. You are going to take the 1 times the 4 and then add 3. So 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is 7. That's how I get my numerator. So, again, your denominator stays the same, 4, 4, always. Your numerator, 1 times 4, plus the 3. All right, now that you get it set up like this, you just solve it like you would a regular fraction problem. Look for bow tie reducing. No, 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 no. And then multiply. 1 times 7 is 7, 3 times 4 is 12. It's not improper. Final answer. Now, I will tell you, you'll get a lot more improper fractions when we're multiplying mixed numbers, so be ready. Now, we'll go down and we'll show you example 2. This one you can do with me. You could do it in the blue boxes if you want, or I would say just do it over here in this clear space. Now, I'm going to get a box and put it there so you can see some work. So the first thing, as I get my box ready, I'm going to do is make sure both numbers are fractions. Now in this case, the first number is the mixed number. So remember, I'm going to do, my denominator is going to stay a 2. But 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So 5 1/2 is the same as 11 halves, times 1/3. Now looking for some bow tie reducing. No, 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 no. So I'm going to multiply, and I do 11 times 1 is 11, and 2 times 3 is 6. But notice, this is an improper fraction, and that is not simplest form, so we need to change that to a mixed number. Now, we've done this on homework, so hopefully you know how to do it. What I do is I do 11 divided by 6, my numerator divided by my denominator. And 6 goes into 11 one time, which is 6. Subtract, I get 5. Now to get my answer, remember I can go in this circle here. So my answer is going to be 1 5/6. Final answer. All right, are you ready to try some? We'll do these ones down below one at a time here. So we're going to have you try A. You don't have a whole lot of room underneath it, so you might want to do it over in the workspace on the left. But I want you to try problem A by yourself. Now, I will remind you of your steps. You're going to make sure they're both fractions, so this mixed number, you have to change to an improper fraction. Bow tie reduce if you can, and then solve. Okay, pause the video, do problem A only. Go. All right, so let's see how you did. First off, 2/3 is already a fraction. 2 1/2, notice I'm going to keep my denominator the same, keep it a 2. But to get my numerator, I do 2 times that 2, which is 4, plus that 1, which is 5. Now, did you notice this one has some bow tie reducing, and it's my favorite kind? The 2's change to 1's. And then I multiply, I get 5/3, and that's improper, so I have to do 5 divided by 3, which is 1 2/3. If you had 1 2/3, you're doing great. If you missed anything, think about what step you missed. Did you make a mistake changing 2 1/2 to 5 halves? Did you miss the bow tie reducing? Watch for that. Did you not change 5/3 to 1 2/3 correctly? Think about that as you try problem B. So let's go over to problem B. So in problem B, I want you to pause the video, learn from any mistakes you might have made, and restart it when you're done. Go. Okay, let's see how you did. So I have 3/8 times, notice my denominator stays a 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus that 1 is 10. Now this one has lots of bow tie reducing. Did you get it all? If not, you could still get your answer right. We'll see. First, the 3's change to 1 because 3 goes into itself 1 time. Now the one I bet a lot of people missed is, I bet a lot of people missed the 8 and the 10. So I know 8 does not go into 10, but 2 goes into 8 and 2 goes into 10. So we can reduce each of them by 2. So 2 goes into 8 4 times, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. Now when I multiply, I get 5/4. Since that's an improper fraction, I'm going to do 5 divided by 4, which is 1 and 1/4. If you had 1 and 1/4 as your final answer, give yourself a C. Even if you missed bow tie reducing, you just would have had to reduce your answer at the end, as long as you get the reducing done somewhere. Okay, next page. We're going to show you example 3 and 4. Now in example 3, we have 2 numbers that are mixed numbers. So let me get my page set up. Okay, that's better. There's a little more workspace. So you could either watch or do this one with me, whatever works better for you. So first off, I'm going to change 1 7/8 to an improper fraction. So 1 times 8 is 8. 8 plus 7 is 15. So I have 15/8. Now for 3 1/3, remember the denominator stays the same. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Looking for some bow tie reducing. The only bow tie reducing I see is the 8 and the 10. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 10 divided by 2 is 5, because 2 went into both. Actually, there's more. I didn't see the 3 and the 15. So 3 goes into itself once, and 3 goes into 15 5 times. Now when I reduce or multiply, I get 25/4. And I'm going to simplify that since it's an improper fraction. 25 divided by 4. 4 goes into 5 6 times, which is 24. Subtract 1. So I get 6, remember that's my whole number, and 1/4. Okay. So, same thing, just make sure they're both improper fractions when you start. All mixed numbers have to be changed to fractions. Now, example 4, I'll just show you here what it looks like in a real-world example. So, this says, the Hoover Dam contains 4.5 million cubic yards of concrete. The Grand Coulee Dam in Washington State contains 2 2/3 times as much concrete. How much concrete does it contain? So here's what we know. We know that if the Hoover Dam contains this much concrete, and the Grand Coulee Dam contains 2 2/3 times as much concrete, to figure out how much concrete it contains, we have to multiply 4.5 times 2 2/3. So for this one, I'll just take you through the steps in the book so you can see what they look like. First, they start with the mixed numbers. They change them to improper fractions, 9/2 times 3/8. They did bow tie reducing. See how the 3 and the 9, 3 goes into 9 and 3? They did it here. And 2 goes into itself and 8. 2 goes into itself once, into 8 4 times. Now when they multiplied their new numbers. 3 times 4 was 12. 1 times 1 is 1. They got 12/1, which is 12. So this means that there are 12 million cubic yards of concrete in the Grand Coulee Dam. All right, so let's go to problem C. First, I'm going to just say pause the video, do it, see what you can do. Make sure your answer's in simplest form and make sure it's labeled. Go. Okay, how did you do? Let's check it out. Mr. Wilkins is laying bricks to make a rectangular patio. The area he is covering with bricks is 15.5 feet by 9 3/4 feet. What is the area? Now, the reason this is multiplication is because it's a rectangular patio, and to find the area of a rectangle, you do area as length times the width. So they are giving us the 2 dimensions, the length and the width here, so we just have to multiply them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write for 15.5 times 9 3/4, I'm going to write them as improper fractions. So 15 times 2 is 30, plus 1 is 31. So I have 31/2 times 9 times 4 is 36, plus 3 is 39, over 4. Now this one, ooh, this one is nasty because guess what? There is no bow tie reducing anywhere to be found. So watch what I have to do. Now the thing is, you know how to do all this. Just don't get too lazy. So 2 times 4 is 8. And guess what? I have to do 31 times 39. It's really, when you think of it, not a bad multiplication problem. If I said do 31 times 39 for a test, you'd be like, oh, that's easy. Okay, so when I do my lattice, I get 3, 9, 9, 27. And when I add, I get 9, 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. So I get 1,209 over 8. Now, I have to simplify that. It's improper. So I have 1,209. Oops, I'm having a hard time writing today. Divided by 8. 8 goes into 12 once. Every time I subtract, I must bring down. 8 goes into 45 times. Every time I subtract, I must bring down. And 8 goes into 9 one time. So I have 151 and 1/8. Now remember, it says, what is the area of the patio? So the area is 151 and 1/8. The unit is feet, so it's going to be square feet. All right, that one was a pain, but it was definitely doable, and you guys can get that one right. So fix any mistakes you may have had. All right, last one. I'll just show you this one real quick, and then you'll be done with me. So this one says, Mr. Conrad's pecan pie recipe calls for 1 3/4 cups of pecans. He plans to make 8 pies. How many cups will he need? So if each pie calls for 1 3/4 cups, and he's making 8, to figure out the total pecans he needs to multiply 1 3/4 times 8, which, take a look at how they do it here. So, first off, here's your multiplication problem. 1 3/4 times 8. 1 3/4 is 7/4 times 8 over 1. Looking for some bow tie reducing. You see the 4 and the 8? 4 goes into itself once, and 4 goes into 8 twice. So that's what you'll see they did here. 4 went to itself once, and 8 twice. Their new problem is 7 over 1 times 2 over 1, which is 14 over 1, or 14. So, how do you put that into an answer? Remember, the question tells you the label. If you look at the question, how many, oops, let me get smaller. How many cups of pecans will Mr. Conrad need? Mr. Conrad will need 14 cups of pecans. All right, that's it. If you were absent, I know you're going to have some problems down here to do, so make sure you're looking on your absent sheet and ask me any questions if you're stuck. As always, thanks for watching.